Titans, go!
Hello, Titans fans. Welcome back to Titan Talk, the Titans podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs. With me, as always, here we are in episode 3, but with me, as always, is my co-host with the most and everybody's favorite, Jesse Jackson.
Hello, Charles. I feel like I should have a code name since we're talking Titans, but I would be Bouncing Boy, which is the wrong team.
Yeah, that would be for a Legion podcast, I would think.
Yes, by the way, and for those of you who have moved over from other podcasts that Charles and I do, know that we never stay on agenda. I went to a comic convention yesterday and met Jim Shooter.
Oh. So, yeah, he's obviously known for writing DC's Legion, but then also was Marvel's editor-in-chief during the 70s.
Yes.
And early 80s.
Yeah.
So, that had to be a big deal.
It was a very big deal. A lot of people were there for Secret Wars. They had the original team back, but I was all Legions all the time. He was very nice. He signed. I had 5 hardback, the Legion archives, and he signed them for me, all the ones he was involved in, the Death of Feral Lad, and so very friendly.
Now, which convention was this at?
This is the North Texas Comic Book Show.
Okay.
It was a very small convention. They usually do only 1 day, but about once a year they do a 2-day show. Mike Grill was there. My big regret was
my favorite Legion artist, by the way, is Mike Grell.
That was just a thing on the Twitter, right?
Gail Simone put out a thing on Twitter where she was encouraging everybody to tweet out their favorite Legion hero, their favorite Legion heroine, favorite villain, and favorite writer and favorite artist.
Yeah, and that was a tough choice. I saw your choices. I thought they were all very good.
Thank you.
I picked Jim Shooter and Dave Cochran, but
Cochran.
Easily could have been Tom and Mary Bierbaum. I love their adult Legion stories. The 5-year gap.
Yeah.
I love Mike Grill's. Paul Levitz. I mean, Legion is don't tell anyone on our Titans podcast, probably 1, and Titans are 1A. So
okay.
Anyway,
I see.
I wanted to share anyway that was a big deal, and it got me in the mood to talk comics, and so I was really happy that you and I had this scheduled because it brought back a lot of the joy I had reading comics. And
well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
You and I have talked a lot. During the reboot, the New 52, I kind of stepped away from comics and read.
Yeah, this was back in 2011 when the New 52 took place, yes.
Yeah, so I read a lot of I kept reading independent books, Saga and Terry Moore's
Stranger
Rachel
in Paradise.
Risey and, other stuff. But a lot of the mainstream comics I just didn't care about reading.
Right.
So we're going to talk comics this episode, in case you guys have not figured this out. We also have some we have some news about the Titan show.
Yes, but, a lot of big news.
Yeah, so Charles, tell me, though, did I miss a lot during the New 52 in the Titan universe?
In the Titan universe, it kind of depends which group you're talking about, because there's like the Teen Titans, which, that were, at least during the New 52 era, like your Con-El, Superboy, your Cassie Sands Mark, Wonder Girl, um, and Tim Drake Robin, that kind of thing. But with Rebirth, which is what we're going to talk about here, essentially it kind of goes back where we have the more adult Titans, no longer teenagers, and then once again, and we have the Teen Titans, which are now like the much younger, like for example, Damian Wayne and Robin, and like you've got you do have Starfire, but she's only 18 now. You have Beast Boy and Raven, who are much younger. So Cyborg, of course, is an adult, and he's with the Justice League to tie in, with that's which has kind of been that way since 2011. So that kind of like original, like pre-Flashpoint Titans has kind of went by the wayside. But here, with the new Titan series by Dan Abnett and Brett Booth, there was an attempt to kind of bring some of that back, especially now with the new Titans TV series, which features a lot of the characters. So we had in 2016, early 2016, we had a miniseries called Titans Hunt, which ran for 8 issues, which is essentially like Titans Volume 0, which was essentially kind of brought back your, with Dick Grayson Nightwing, you had Donna Troy, you had characters like Tempest and Arsenal, and Lilith as Omen, and you had some throwbacks to the original 60s Titans with Narc, the kind of caveman hero that was associated with the team back then, and you had Hawk and Dove. In this case, Hank Hall and Dawn Granger, who are going to be featured in the new Titans TV series. So you had those characters, and then you had the kind of reintroduction of Mal Duncan, who was a herald, and back in the day he was associated with the kind of 70s team of Teen Titans, and you had his wife Karen Beecher Duncan, who's known as Bumblebee, who became a member of the team back in the 70s, and has kind of been on and off with the team. So there's a genuine attempt to kind of recapture some of that past here in the Rebirth era.
So I read that, and in fact I'm caught up as far as I know on current trade paperbacks,
right,
of Titan. I thought the Titan Hunt was okay.
Yeah.
So talk to me about what you thought of it, and you've already got, as you guys will quickly see, Charles does all the hard work in the podcast. I just talk.
Well, you're the face of the organization, shall we say.
Well, I do editing and do the backlane, but Charles often
I do front work.
Yes, he does. He does the prep work, and then good friend of the show, Tom Zoller, always when he goes to a convention, he says, "Look, I'm just the talent. Just show me where I'm supposed to go." So, yeah.
Well, you are indeed very talented.
Well, yes, I'm the diva of the podcast.
You are. So let's talk about Titan's Hunt real quick. So essentially, with this Rebirth universe, the way they've kind of set this up is kind of with a mystery that apparently there's been 10 years of lost time, and caused by a mysterious force. We don't quite know exactly the circumstances of what happened yet. This was set up in the kind of DC Universe Rebirth #1 one-shot by Geoff Johns to kind of give us a little merging of the the original pre-Flashpoint universe with the New 52 into something else, which they're calling Rebirth, to kind of capture some of the elements, especially the legacy elements that were lost in the New 52 era. So here we have Titan. The Titans are essentially, I would say, in their early 20s. Once again, they essentially don't know each other during the course of the series. Well, as when the series starts. Over the course of the series, though, they find out that the really old school villain, Mr. Twister, who was the villain from their very first appearance in the 60s in Brave and Bold number 54, who was essentially their first foe, was responsible for kind of mucking with some of their memories a little bit of each other. And they kind of, over the course of the series, are reacquainted with one another and realize, hey, we've forgotten something. And they have to face the threat of Mr. Twister. So I kind of want to get your thoughts on what you thought of Mr. Twister, an really the oldest Titans villain, making his return appearance here.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice twist. Now, I went in kind of to be repetitive, but I took the New 52 as a good way to cut down on the amount of comics I was spending.
Right.
Just decided that nothing against them. I'm glad they did that.
It was a good breaking point for you.
It was. And so I had not really missed anything.
Right.
And a little bit of my cynicism, because I was so energetic when John Byrne took over Superman way back in the day. And, they had the new, and Luthor became,
in the post Crisis and on Infinite Earths era back in the 80s.
Yeah. And I kind of felt like, I've already gone through a new universe. I don't want to go through it again.
Yeah.
But because of the love of the characters and the TV show and us doing this podcast, I'm like, okay, hey, I'll buy these. And
you'll give it a shot. Give it a shot.
So
we can talk about it. Yeah.
I was excited about the villain, but I cannot stand the way they are drawing or writing Arsenal with the backwards hat.
The backwards baseball cap, yeah. They're basically what we call the douche cap, because anybody that wears, especially now in 2018, if you're wearing a backwards baseball cap, please stop, because you're embarrassing yourself. It's essentially like the douche trademark, or like a big flashing neon sign that says, "Hey, I'm a douche."
And it seems like they're always writing him or drawing him with like a toothpick or a hayseed or a golf-tee or something in his mouth.
Right.
I don't mind the tattoos, but it just...
to kind of show him more as the rebel.
Yeah, I just don't like that characterization. Now, when he's not in costume...
yeah.
And he's interacting with Donna...
yeah.
No, that's actually Wally that... I'm getting confused, right?
Well, there's kind of that's one of the things that we'll talk about, is that there is they basically have this Roy's attracted to Donna, and Donna's kind of confused about things.
Right.
And there's a moment where like she and Wally kind of hook up for a brief moment. But there's still that connection between Roy and Donna.
Yeah, and so I've always liked the Roy Harper character. I liked Speedy.
Right.
I liked what he did, and I liked the post 52 Arsenal fine.
Right.
Though I liked him better as Red Arrow, I guess, maybe.
Yes, right.
But I don't like this version at all.
Okay.
Now, your thoughts on that? Am I being too hard on him?
No, I don't think so, because the reason they kind of went with I think the backwards baseball cap is kind of a nod, because they can't quite pull off the old Robin Hood look with a big yellow pointed cap. It looks very dated. So I think they decided, well, okay, we'll give him a hat, but we'll make it a backwards baseball cap in the case of Arsenal. Now, they had to, like, when he was as Speedy, he had like a yellow cap that was facing forwards. And then I think now as he's older now as Arsenal, he's kind of switched to like a red cap to match his uniform, and then is wearing it backwards because again, it's a douche thing, I guess. So
Yeah.
I hate using that word, but that's essentially what it is. And that he's the bad boy. And he's always kind of tried to be the bad boy of the group.
Yeah.
But they did bring back his drug addiction.
Yes.
That's now back in continuity. So that's back.
It is, and I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I think that was such a significant storyline
Right.
back when it originally happened. That Neil Adams, am I getting the artist right?
Yeah, you're right.
Iconic.
Yeah, it was Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams in
Yes.
the Green Lantern Green Arrow series. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was, iconic. So I'm okay with that. So as I shared before, I've read these out of order. Yeah. So
right.
I'm going to reread them.
We should do a caveat because apparently Jesse read them like you read Titans Hunt, then he jumped all the way ahead to the Lazarus Contract, which was like the third trade paperback in volume 3. And then he went back to the Return of Wally West, and then he read the Made in Manhattan, which was like the second volume 2. So yeah, he definitely went a little bit out of order, which I'm sure had to be confusing when you're reading the Lazarus Contract. Like, what happened?
Well, and I kind of, all this is an asterisk, but my first instinct was, they're not doing anything new. I don't feel like there's anything significant.
Right.
It's just another Titan story.
Yeah.
I also didn't like.
Well, they did have that flirtation between Donna and Wally, which was pretty new.
And I didn't like the whole mystery thing. That felt, it just gave me tired head.
Okay.
And I reading the Titans Hunt, I was happy to see the characters.
Yeah.
I was happy to see the embracing of everyone who kind of has ever been a Titan.
Right.
Kind of thrown in the bunch. And I think it was done pretty well. I didn't feel that they bend over backwards to try to make this fit. I felt like the writer on this.
Dan Abnett.
Yeah, Dan Abnett did a good job of, I go back to, and we've used this before, that scene in Apollo 13. We need this to fit into that, and we only have this. And I felt like, Dan Abnett said, okay, I need to get the Titans. Here's all the mixing pieces. How can I build a Titan mosaic that is beautiful, that encompasses all the things that I've loved and my readers liked? And I felt like from that case, it was really well done.
Yeah. One of the things I am liking about the current Titan series is that Dan Abnett is making a considerable effort to try to show the Titans as a family again, which is something that hasn't been seen for a good while. And, like with Roy, Donna, the classic members actually interacting, kind of getting on, like picking on each other, jokes, whatnot. And we definitely get a sense of that. And with in the first volume here, the Return of Wally West, we see Wally as kind of like the audience's go-to or point of view character, where we're reintroduced to the team post Titans Hunt, where Wally, who has been kind of tucked away in essentially maybe like a Speed Force type limbo, and made his return in DC Universe Rebirth #1 in a really great story by Geoff Johns. I can't recommend that one shot enough. because it was like a great Wally West story and a great Barry Allen story, and it was a great way to kind of kick things off in the Rebirth era. It set up a bunch of mysteries that paid off in various titles, some of which are still paying off in Geoff Johns' maxi series that's going on right now, Doomsday Clock, which essentially crosses over the DC universe with the Watchmen characters.
Okay.
And that's proving to be really interesting. But as far as Wally West goes, the Titans at this point don't remember Wally in Volume 1. And so he reaches out to Dick Grayson, his best friend on the Titans. And so it's kind of nice to see that established, is that Wally and Dick were best friends. And so that's something that was brought back. And we had Wally, as soon as he made physical contact with Nightwing during a fight, because of course Dick doesn't know who he is at first, so they start fighting, and then all of a sudden when there's physical contact, Nightwing remembers his friend. Yeah. And the other Titans get involved, and they remember Wally. And so I want to get your thoughts on that, about that the way that they kind of discovered each other, and then Wally was brought back into the group.
One of the things that I told Jim Shooter as he was signing my books is I loved the Legion because it felt like a group of kids hanging in a clubhouse that you wanted to be part of. Like, I would love to be part of this team. And that is what, when we, what many would say is the golden era of Wolfman and Perez, I wanted to be part of that group. I wanted to be in the Titan Tower. I'm okay with them bickering a little bit, but overall, they were friends. And
because friends get on each other's nerves occasionally.
Yes, absolutely. And which doesn't mean you don't love each other and you don't, I may be ticked off at you, but I'd go to, into the earth to defend you. Yeah.
Exactly. I'll still, like, if you're in trouble, I will still come and save you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Jesse may be a jerk, but he's our jerk. So leave us
alone. You're never a jerk.
Yes.
You're the less jerky person I know.
So that is exactly. I loved that feeling. And like I said, my frustration is this whole mystery.
Right.
And I think that's why I liked Manhattan better.
Yeah.
Because they didn't focus as much on the mystery, and they just told a good story.
Right.
So this one, like I said, it was okay. I kind of got a little bit, okay, yeah, I get it. You don't remember him, and Wally's lost in time almost, and, coming back. But it got a little tiring to me.
Okay.
But definitely the friendship was something, and there was a nice payoff when they go, oh, wait, how have I not remembered you?
Right.
A little bit back to one of our favorite episodes of Doctor Who, right when Rory at the wedding goes, the doctor, how did we forget the doctor?
Exactly, yes. Yeah. Exactly. But that's a whole separate podcast, a great podcast by the name of Next Stop Everywhere.
You gotta check that out. Absolutely amazing podcast.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I hardly recommend that podcast.
Absolutely.
So over the course of this storyline, we find out that Abracadabra is presumably the one who made Wally West disappear from everybody's memories. And so, of course, he's the big bad of this storyline. Now, because of the characters kind of being de-aged somewhat in this timeline, this new timeline, Wally and Linda Park are no longer married. They presumably no longer have kids. And Linda does not remember Wally, although Wally remembers Linda, because of Wally being kind of set off in this little pocket Speed Force type dimension. And so there's that angst there. But yeah, they go through this. It's all like a big trap with abracadabra and some nice nods to like old Flash comics with like the puppets and whatnot from the
Yes.
Silver Age. So we had that. And ultimately it comes down to Wally ends up Abracadabra wants Wally to accelerate into the Speed Force to try to get rid of him, essentially kind of like, okay, let him be absorbed by the Speed Force and he won't be a problem anymore. But it's Wally's attachment for the Titans, which apparently brings him back, is his anchor, essentially. And so he comes back out of the Speed Force and they defeat Abracadabra. Surprise. And they kind of tease the next storyline by having Abracadabra say the word Manhattan. Now, the question is this a reference to the next storyline, Made in Manhattan, or is this a reference to Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen, which ties into the big overall DCU mystery?
So I assumed it was Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Because I had heard, even though I'm not reading it, though I've made a note that, damn you, Charles, I'm going to have to start going back.
Yep. You try to get out and I keep pulling you back in.
I will tell you, this is, these Titan books were the first books I read on my Kindle.
Yeah.
And it's not quite as nice as holding the issues.
Right.
But there is...
it is kind of nice to just be able to just flip through.
Yes, it is.
Without having to okay, I don't have ads. I don't have to go through. I can just keep going right through the story. And
yes.
Yeah. And if you want, you can kind of blow up things to kind of get a
Yes.
closer look at things, which is kind of nice.
Absolutely.
Magnify. So that's kind of all right. So the second storyline, Made in Manhattan. This is issues 7 through 10 and Titans Annual number 1. And this is also written by Abnett and drawn by Brett Booth, but also some artwork in issue number 7 by Lee Weeks, who's a great artist, and Min-Kyu Young in Annual number 1. Now, the first part of the storyline, the Titans number 7, this is essentially like kind of a some would say a filler episode issue, but I think it's a good one because we have the return of Superman meeting Wally. And in this rebirth era, this Superman is the pre-Flashpoint Superman. So you have Superman and Wally as the only two characters in the DC universe that kind of remember what happened before Flashpoint.
First off, Superman is probably my favorite character.
Right.
And I always love when
So did you enjoy this issue?
Oh,
number 7? Yeah.
So much. I've always liked in the past, like when Dick Grayson would interact with Superman,
right?
Especially, and originally
with Nightwing, yeah.
Yeah. And
Big getting his code name from Superman, from Nightwing and Flamebird, from Krypton.
And the kind of tongue-in-cheek, are we racing? And Superman, and because I remember those classic episodes when I was a kid, covers of Superman and Flash.
The Superman Flash races, yeah.
And so that was just wonderful. And
we also got another one here. They do another race here.
Yes.
So that was cool.
It was very cool. Yeah, I just loved that. And I loved Superman being a big brother, kind of, almost an uncle figure to Wally.
Right.
Telling him he shares about him having a son and Lois, and you can do this. I loved this episode. In fact,
Wally gets kind of a Superman pep talk here.
Yes, and that made me not mind the mystery as much, because if you use it to build character moments like this,
right,
I'm in with the ride.
Okay, so this one you enjoyed.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because we got some more kind of character moments here. We had Roy and Donna being on a date, but not really a date, and you talked about that Wally, Clark is encouraging Wally to kind of hang in there to try to win back Linda, which was nice.
It is.
And we had the construction of the new Titans Tower, so we get the Titans Tower back. So yay, Titans Tower is back. And I thought this was a kind of a cool idea by Abnett, is that Tempest is kind of responsible for the construction of this new Titans Tower through this kind of Atlantean bioorganic technology, which allows it to kind of be constructed, in just hours. They essentially grew a Titans Tower, which I thought was kind of a cool idea.
Very cool idea. I like,
especially if it gets trash, you can just okay, we'll grow another one.
Yes. I love the attorney character.
Yeah.
I think that was a nice perspective of someone from the outside looking in,
right.
Kind of.
Because they essentially set themselves up in an island, of course, just like during the Wolfman Perez era.
Yes.
And there's obviously legal issues because, hey, it's right outside of Manhattan, and maybe some people might have a problem with this.
Yeah, I agree. I like how they're writing Garth, Tempest, Aqualad.
Yeah.
He'll always be Aqualad to me. Sorry.
I know.
But yeah, I like this a lot. I like the kind of almost he has the mystic powers.
Yes.
And I like how they're showing him. He is a little bit different. And
yes.
Because
he's not so passive like he used to be.
Yes, and he's
got more of an edge.
And they're not, and I guess I'm being unfair to Roy, but I like the fact that they're writing them as different characters, not just they're all the same, very white bread characters that just wear different colors.
Right.
He was raised down in Atlantis. So he would have different characteristics and different ways of interacting with people versus, Dick, who was raised, in a circus, and then with Batman. And then Wally, who in a lot of ways had the most basic, nuclear family growing up.
From the Midwest, yes. Yeah.
So I like that a lot about them.
Yeah. I do too, and you have one of the things that during the course of this series is this kind of romance that Tempest has with Lilith Omen, and which is also something kind of different.
I like that. I like Lilith being back. I like that the
more of a player.
Yes, and the training physically, and him saying, I think subconsciously you're sensing what my moves are going to be, and I think that's a huge is going to be a big asset for you. I like that a lot. And it's always been Titans has been characters interacting is what drives me to the story. As much as I love the villains and the big fights, it is truly that sense of friendship and family is why I love reading the series. And I felt that very much so in this Manhattan issue.
Very cool. All right. Yeah. So the premise of this story is that Mal has gone to this company called Meta Solutions to get his Herald powers taken away because he just wants a normal life. Well, Karen, who has just recently discovered that she has powers, is just like, well, maybe I kind of want to do the same thing. So she goes there, and ultimately we find out that, oh, hey, the Fearsome Five are running the show. They, of course, don't want their powers taken away, but they want all the heroes' powers, of course, taken away. So we essentially have Simon, who's running the Fearsome Five right now. And, the kind of post-Dr. Light Fearsome Five from back in the day. With Mammoth and Shimmer and whatnot. So there's obviously this big fight between the Titans and the Fearsome Five. There's kind of a game changer at the end of the storyline where Simon, who realizes that, okay, this isn't quite working out how I planned, um, essentially retreats, but not before he takes away Karen, Bumblebee's memories. And this includes like her memories of Mal and her memories of their own baby. So this really affects her.
It is devastating.
Right.
I like the idea that Mal is this super famous composer.
Musician, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really evil, nice twist. That because I thought he was just Simon was trying to burn her brain,
Yeah.
and then to see this, no, he just took out her happiness.
Right.
Really, was very cool, very slick. Um,
That there were consequences from this battle.
yes, absolutely.
And it also sets up, more storylines down the road. Because obviously Karen needs to try to get her memories back, which will come into play later on.
Yes.
And of course, this means that for the time being, at least, she's going to stay with the Titans to try to, obviously get her memories back. So that kind of it's the way of kind of incorporating her into the group.
Yeah. Did you buy them the fakeness of, oh, we've turned a new leaf? Because I thought Roy had a good point. You know, it I had to struggle to fight my addiction, and they've done this too quickly.
Right. It's too I don't know, just it's too simply done. Like it's just
Yeah,
yeah, it's like there's no effort for this
yeah.
one.
So I thought that was really well done, and
Right.
it was good to see them back, and so I was very happy with that storyline. I think it's a nice setup, just like Wally has lost the love of his life.
Right.
Now then she's lost her husband, memory of her husband and her daughter, but
Right.
it's still there.
Yeah, and it obviously sets up conflict because Mal remembers her.
Yes.
And so it's just like, well, I don't know who you are. You're a stranger to me,
And
which has to be very frightening.
yeah, and up to um, and he's lost his powers.
Right.
And so, but, what are we going to do? Is he going to still be involved? Is he, because he grabbed, the stuff laying around the tower to kind of build, to be a Batman at a costume party,
Right.
to go to find that. I love seeing how Karen was full of energy, and that suit,
Her
gave
bumblebee
her
suit.
control.
Yeah.
Yes, that was really well done.
Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, I'm glad you liked it. The only other thing that was in this volume was Titans Annual #1, uh, which essentially is a crossover with the Justice League. And we had 4 members of the Titans: Nightwing, Wally, Donna, and Garth. They wake up with 4 members of the Justice League: Batman, Aquaman, Flash, and Wonder Woman, their mentors. And in some unknown location, they don't know where they are, and more importantly, none of them know how they got there. And so we have this distrust because the Justice League is kind of very skeptical about like trusting the Titans. And like they don't even trust that they are who they say they are. So essentially we kind of get into explore the trust issues that some of the mentors have with their younger counterparts. Now some like Barry and Wally are just like, hey, we get along perfectly. But there's some major friction between Wonder Woman and Donna Troy in this story. And I kind of want to get your thoughts on all that.
I loved the story.
You did?
I loved how it starts out with just the two Flashes, and
Right.
then Arthur and Garth.
Right. And
Aquaman,
Aquaman's
and
kind of being a dick in this
yes,
story a
he
little
is,
bit.
and um, I like that a little bit. In a lot of ways, my favorite Aquaman was from the animated Batman series of a few years ago.
Right.
Where he was this jolly, ho
Oh,
ho
from
ho,
Brave
yeah,
and the Bold.
the
Yeah,
Brave and
Batman
the
Blue.
Boat series. I mean,
Yeah.
I loved that Aquaman. He was just this ho ho higher,
Yeah, they're
broader, just
larger than
grander life.
life.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I liked this. I liked how, um, as king, he immediately thinks he's in charge, and then when Dick shows up, quickly he's very much in charge, and then when
Right. Because
yeah,
they're all natural leaders.
they are,
Yeah.
and and then when Batman's there, well, of course everything changes when Batman's in the room. That was a great line, and um, the big reveal about Donna's secret origin.
Right.
It was just I
And then
vaguely remember the key, this
the
the
key, yeah,
villain.
yeah, the key was essentially like an old school Justice League villain that kind of was brought back into the forefront during the Grant Morrison era of JLA, and kind of given a good fresh coat of paint during that. And that's the kind of version we get here, is Morrison's version.
Yes, and we get a little bit of he was doing someone else's bidding, and we
Hmm.
don't know who it is.
Right,
Um,
exactly. There's
which
some kind of, there's essentially his whole point of this was just to try to get them together for the purpose of breaking each of them mentally, and to use that mental energy to free someone. We don't know who that is. So that's, again, another mystery, hopefully to pay off later down the road. But right now, we don't know who that is.
yeah, so um I
The key is serving someone.
he is, and it was, as I said, this I just read the Made in Manhattan trade paperback
Right.
last night and this morning, because I said, okay, I got to read the last one, and it was my favorite.
Well, good.
Yeah, this was,
I'm glad
and
you kind of ended on a high note.
well, and yeah, what's funny though is, and that's why I'm going to go back and read them in order, because now that I have this better feeling, maybe Lazarus will make more sense to me.
Right.
And
Because that's at
yeah,
the end. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
exactly. But this was, you had talked about how much you enjoyed the series, and after reading this Made in Manhattan, I get this. I'm like, okay. And truly, the first couple of trades are setting up, and this was the first time, okay, the team's here, let's set up our
Right.
stories.
There was a lot of
So,
setup,
yeah,
yes.
really well done. Nice.
Okay. All right. We probably don't have time to get into Lazarus
No, we
contract
don't. We'll do that.
because we'll do that down the road. But
Absolutely.
yeah, but because obviously there's a lot of big Titans TV show news we still want to cover.
Please share. I
So
can't wait to hear.
So here's our Titans Tower segment. As we talked about Titans Tower before, let's get into Titans
Yeah.
Tower. So here's some news on what you may or may not have already known about what's coming up with the Titans TV series. First and foremost, something that just came out here the past couple days was, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, maybe you are, Geoff Johns posted on Twitter a copy of the first, like the cover sheet to his upcoming episode of Titans, the TV series, which is apparently episode 5. And the title of that series, The Doom Patrol.
Ooh.
So the Doom Patrol are going to be featured. We kind of wondered if that, because with Beast Boy being there, obviously Beast Boy has some major Doom Patrol connections. And we kind of knew that Rita Farr, his foster mother, was going to be a member of was going to be appearing. But now we get word that apparently we're going to see the whole Doom Patrol. So hopefully that means Robot Man, Negative Man, and of course Elastigirl, Rita Farr. So that would be kind of, and the Chief. We want the Chief. So
Yes.
as a big Doom Patrol geek, I'm really excited by this.
Well, and I'm a big Geoff Johns fan.
Right.
He has written some of my favorite Smallville episodes. I think he is a very talented writer, and I'm very happy to hear he's done a great job of kind of blending these, like when he did the Legion in
Yes.
Smallville. I mean, he made it fit the show, but at the same time, bring in enough that you go, oh yeah, that's cool. So he should do a great job on this.
Yeah, he knows his history.
Yes, he does.
I think he also did on Smallville. He did the Justice Society episodes.
Yes, he did. So yeah.
So because he wrote JSA, so that was very cool. So
Mhm.
Geoff Johns he's got an affinity for the Doom Patrol. He kind of brought them back for a brief moment in his Teen Titans run that he did not too long ago before Flashpoint happened. And it's great. I'm glad that instead of just being a producer on the series, I'm glad he's actually writing some episodes. So I'm glad to see that. I think the show will be much better off for that.
Yes.
All right. So I'm looking forward to that. So that apparently is going to be episode 5 unless they air them out of order, because they had the notation on the script that it was 105, which is season 1, episode 5. All right. Some other news that we want to talk about. We didn't talk about before when we talked about some casting news. We didn't talk about some other characters that have been reported to be appearing in some episodes. We had this actor named Mark Anthony Krupa as Konstantin Kovar. And for those who'd be like, okay, who's that? That is the father of Leonid Kovar, who you may remember from the 60s and 80s Teen Titans comics as Red Star. So hopefully this means that we'll get Red Star turning up.
Oh, that would be nice.
The Russian, essentially unofficial Titan, who's associated with the group and actually became a member of the New Titans, I believe in the 90s. So hopefully we'll see him. Let's see what else. Jareth J. Murs is going to be playing a character called the Acolyte. Now, the question is, we're not sure. Presumably this is going to be a character that's kind of the advance man for some other character that's going to be down the road. Not quite sure who. Now, there was a character named the Acolyte who appeared in Young Justice number 9, which was written by Peter David, who claimed to be immortal and had a religious fixation on attempting to replace God with the resurrected goddess Kali. Now, is that the same Acolyte? I don't know. Or is it just somebody that they're calling the Acolyte? So we'll see.
Okay.
And then we have a actor named Seamus Dever, who played Detective Kevin Ryan on Castle, a show that you may be familiar with, Jesse.
Yes.
So you may be familiar with that actor. He's going to be appearing on the show in a recurring role, but we don't know which character he's playing. And he was also on some episodes of CSI, the various CSI shows. He was on Mad Men and he was on Charmed.
Yeah, he's...
So what do you think about him as an actor since you've seen Castle?
Yeah, he played Kevin Ryan on Castle. Very likable. His actual real-life wife played his wife on the show, which was kind of fun. He was very funny on Castle, yet at the same time, but Castle was more of a comedy.
Right.
But I think he's,
I think he's a decent enough actor?
Yeah, I think he's good. Yeah, I remember him being, he was very good in Army Wives.
Okay.
My wife and I used to watch. So I think he's going to do really well. Similar to his partner on Castle was John Heredis. I'm going to get the name wrong.
Okay.
He played Javier, and he's doing wonderful stuff on This Is Us, playing the best friend of the character, and now I'm drawing a blank on him, and people are yelling at me, going, "Yes, yes." Yeah, he plays Miguel
Okay.
on This Is Us. So yeah, I think this is a good pick because he's a very solid actor. I think it adds some. You want some familiar faces
Okay.
on a show. At least I do.
Right. So this would be somebody you've seen before, and you go like,
Yeah.
okay, I remember that guy.
Yes, absolutely. I'm
Okay.
very happy.
All right. Now some speculated cast members. These are
Ooh,
these
I
are the
love
characters.
speculation.
Yeah, this is where we get into our little speculative area. So just treat this as rumors and hopes, essentially. One of the characters that is speculated to be returning or appearing on the show is Donna Troy. And this was a character, we basically had some character descriptions that were revealed by this website called the Hashtag Show, which tends to get a hold of these character descriptions rather quickly, and gets them out to the interwebs. And they had a character description for a character named Ruth Gibbs, who was female in her 20s, Caucasian or Latina or Middle Eastern, depending on how the casting director wants to go, or ethnically ambiguous, confident and kick-ass, educated, and the character is described as a recurring guest star this season with an option for a series regular next season. So a lot of people were thinking maybe Donna Troy here, hopefully.
Yeah, that sounds good. I also like the idea that I love next season.
Yes.
Also, that makes me
So
very
like
happy.
as long as the show does well and everybody starts subscribing, so don't forget to subscribe
Yeah, absolutely.
To the new DC Universe digital series. That would be great. Some other characters, Soulstice, who was a Indian, and that's not like Native American Indian. This is actual Indian, member of the Teen Titans, kind of during the very late into the Geoff Johns Teen Titans series era, around issues like 90 through 100, I believe. And this character is described as Monica Saini, or Sayani, female, early 20s or early 30s, East Indian, has the mentality of a survivor and the scars along with it, unsettled and a little unusual, an orphan, limited dialogue in her first appearance, must be familiar with Hindi, and described as a possibly recurring guest star. So maybe not joining the Titans, but maybe appearing in some episodes.
What are you thinking?
Well, they're thinking Soulstice. That's the kind of general consensus on this.
Okay.
So we'll see. That's so like they seem to be willing to draw from a lot of various Teen Titans eras for this series, which is good because it kind of expands the scope and gets us to see some characters we might not hope to see at some point. So
okay, good. I'm into that.
Otherwise, yeah. Another character speculated, Arella, the mother of Raven. So the character, what description for her was a character named Angela. Gee, that kind of sounds familiar to Arella. Female in between the ages of 40 and 50. Rachel, as in Rachel Roth, the secret identity of Raven, her adoptive mom. And apparently she gets killed in an attempt to kidnap Rachel.
Okay.
So that seems pretty likely for Arella, which means hopefully that we're going to see Trigon at some point.
Yeah.
So I kind of wonder if the Acolyte that we talked about before is going to be like an advanced man for Trigon.
Yes, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
About them being too. How do you do something that comic booky on a TV show? So I'm a little nervous, but
right. Yeah, well, obviously we would love to see a big budget Trigon.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll see how they do that. Maybe they'll just have him, in this more human form for a good chunk of the series.
Yes, absolutely.
Probably, I'm guessing. Another character that's speculated for the series, Brother Blood, which would be a great addition for the series. The character description for him is a character named Evan Logue. Now, keep in mind some of these character descriptions, it's not their actual names in the series. These are just kind of like false names to kind of throw you off the track of who they're casting for.
Yeah.
So the character is described as male, late 30s to 40s, Caucasian, charismatic, a cult leader, attempting to reunite his family. And as we know, Brother Blood was indeed a cult leader. Central role for the series finale. So maybe Brother Blood will be the big bad at the end of the series, maybe setting up season 2, perhaps. So maybe if they do Trigon in season 1 and then set up Brother Blood for season 2.
And I actually think Brother Blood could be done pretty well.
Yes.
Now
Arrow did Brother Blood, but they did it really horribly.
Yes, I agree.
So hopefully we get something better than what Arrow did.
I almost picture the version of Brother Blood I want to see
with Kevin Alejandro, who's on Lucifer right now, playing him.
Yeah, almost. Speaking of Lucifer,
yes.
know that slickness of the main character in Lucifer, but being a a charismatic
yes.
Preacher and this this kind of cult,
right?
That could work very
well. Manipulative and
yeah. So
cool. And charismatic, kind of a cult of personality type figure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another character speculated, last one here that we have, Ras al Ghul or Ras al Ghul, depending on how you pronounce it. It's been pronounced both ways on various TV shows and movies, so take your pick, really. Male, 40s to 50s, Middle Eastern, Latin or East Indian, seeking a young Richard Attenborough type, fearless, manipulative, with unparalleled intelligence, recurring guest star seeking recognizable faces only. So I guess they're looking for kind of more of a big name to play Ras al Ghul. So we'll see. Now Ra's has ties obviously to Nightwing.
Yes.
But obviously more major ties to Damian Wayne because he's Damian's grandfather, because he's the father of Talia al Ghul, who has a child with Bruce Wayne Batman, and their progeny is, of course, Damian Wayne, who is now Robin. So we'll see if Ra's makes his appearance, but I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah, I like the movie version of.
You mean by what's his name? I'm blanking on the name. Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson, yes.
Better than the Arrow version.
Yeah. Now I do like the Gotham version of Ras al Ghul, who's played by Alexander Siddig, who played Dr. Bashir on Deep Space Nine.
Ooh, I have not.
And he was also recently on Game of Thrones as one of the So yeah, he's if you haven't seen Ra's on Gotham, you might want to check him out because he's actually pretty good as Ra's.
That is the image I'd like.
And definitely better than the Arrow version. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. So yeah, I that's interesting. Now, we do not have a timeline yet, right?
Right. Yeah, we don't know quite sure when we don't know where. Maybe it would be a flashback. We don't know how Ra's would appear on this series, but presumably the present day, because you kind of want to see him interacting with the team.
Absolutely.
Facing off, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
At least Nightwing, hopefully.
Yes.
And speaking of Nightwing, last thing I have here in Titans Tower before we move on and close up for this week, we have an update on the Nightwing movie, so I thought I'd bring that up.
Ooh.
Director Chris McKay, who's directing the Nightwing movie, gave us a quick update on Twitter, and he posted, "Hi, some early Valentine's Day news. Nightwing script expected very soon. Working on Rip-O-Matic to show studio. And this is going to be a long process, so don't expect any casting news anytime soon. We are taking our time. Expect big things from DC, Geoff Johns, and the WB team. Exciting year ahead! ! ! So obviously the script's pretty close to being finished, and at least it's kind of moving along. So Nightwing movie is still very much alive. So we'll see. hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get that, and it'll be good, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Of course, I always hope that
Obviously,
the movies are going to be good.
right, we'll get a better idea of how good it's going to be depending on who gets cast
Absolutely.
as Nightwing, and depending on the type of fan you are, you want to know if he has a good butt or not, because Nightwing's butt is always a thing, apparently.
It is always a thing. Richard
Yep.
Grayson needs to have a good rear.
I know some fans would be. This is very important in the Nightwing casting. This is crucial.
Yes.
We'll see. It'd be funny if they just revealed the casting by just showing his butt. You know, the actor's butt. They didn't reveal who the actor is. They just showed his butt. They were like, okay, that's be a good Nightwing. All right. All right. I don't know.
Oh, that is one of the funniest things I've heard in a while. Good job, Charles.
Thank you. All right. So I think that about does it for this time.
I agree.
So we're going to come back for episode 4, but I think it's going to be a little while.
Yes.
We're probably going to try to space this out to a month at least until we get the series becoming active and we get more news and whatnot. But hopefully you got these 3 episodes. Thanks everybody for listening, and just be patient.
Let's go ahead if they want to give us feedback. Obviously, since none of our episodes have been released yet.
Yeah. We were basically to give some people some background. Had these first 2 recorded quite some time ago, but they're being held hostage by our editor, Rob Southgate. They're like, who said I want 3 episodes before we release them. So, Rob, here's our 3rd episode.
Yes, the thought is that you want to start with 3, also because iTunes will then highlight us. And so we would find more people. So that is the reason why. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Because we could definitely need more attention. So if you
yes.
want to reach us here on Titan Talk, Jesse, do you want to give them information or should I?
You have it handy, I would guess, in your notes.
Yes, I do. My copious notes here. So if you want to tell it to Titan Talk and drop us a line, let us know what you think of the podcast, what you'd like for us to cover down the road. You can drop us a line at titantalkcast@gmail.com, or you can reach us on the Twitter machine at Titan Talkcast. We'd love to have you follow us there. That would be great, and please let your friends know about us. And then also on our Facebook page, Titan Talk, the Titans podcast, where we will obviously, as news comes in, we'll post articles, and when episodes are released, we'll post stuff like that. So just drop us a line, or keep in touch there. We're on Twitter, and so you can kind of keep up with the show, and also help us spread the word, because we're obviously trying to grow this little podcast of ours, and would appreciate all your help.
Absolutely. We have reached out to some other members of the Titan Talk fanzine that we were part of and asking them to join us.
If you remember us talking about that from our previous episode. So,
yes.
So hopefully we'll have some old school Titan Talkers to talk about, memories down the road. So
we will do our best, though it's always tough for us to get writers or artists from the series, but if we can, we're certainly going to have them on there.
Yeah, we also have about 50 years worth of Titan stories that we could talk about.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, as we're waiting for the show to make its debut, and various animated things and whatnot, and related projects featuring various Titans characters.
Yes.
So plenty of things to talk about. Jesse, I hope you need to start brainstorming some ideas with me.
Absolutely. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I am at Jesse Jackson DFW. And Charles, how can they find you on the social media network? And don't you do a certain blog?
Yes, I do. So if you want to reach me on the interwebs, and I would definitely appreciate you doing so, you can reach me on the Twitter machine at Charles Skaggs, or on the Instagram at Charles Skaggs, or on Google Plus for all you crazy kids in the Google Plus out there. Shout out to Karen. And Facebook, of course, at Charles Skaggs, and my blog of geeky things.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Damn good coffee and hot, where I talk about all the things that we talk about here on Titan Talk, and any kind of Titans-related news. Otherwise, comic book, sci-fi goodness. Posted a bunch of trailers that came out this past week, so please check those out. And definitely appreciate anybody that has been checking out my blog, Damn Good Coffee and Hot. I really appreciate that, and please let your friends know, because that would be fantastic. So thanks, everybody. I think this will do it for right now, but please come back for episode 4 here in a month, and we're going to talk about more Titan stuff, and any news that comes out between now and then, we will obviously share that on the podcast as well. So, Jesse, any final thoughts?
I just want to say, as always, I love talking comics with you, Charles. And I'm looking forward to going through some of the classic Titan stories with you and discussing Terra and so many others.
Deathstroke and all kinds of, maybe the Vigilante or Blackfire or some old school Trigon and Brother Blood.
Oh, yeah. So
much. Lots of stuff to cover about. So thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you guys next time on Titan Talk, the Titans podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.